This is my criminal court, and that's my public defendant. And this is my school record. As you see, I think I'm a good student. I think I have a ability to be successful, but it's just that I make the wrong choice. My school stuff for psychology, sociology, and speech.
Over 90% of the youth surveyed had a specific career goal and made it clear that they saw education as their way out of homelessness at the same time that their homelessness is a barrier to their education.
One young man in our group was talking about he was getting in fights all the time. He was actually getting good grades, but he kept getting expelled for fights, and he was getting in fights because he was under so much stress because of the instability of his housing with his mom. You're moving from school to school to school. You don't have a solid friend base. You're very insecure in your peer environment, and that also impacts both your performance in school and in class and out of class at school.
Because of the mobility that happens when youth are homeless, they have big issues with credits. Particularly high school students have big issues with credits because they might get a few credits from another place, but the place they're at now doesn't want to accept those credits. And I don't know if anybody in this room would show up at work and do your work all day long if you knew you weren't going to get paid. So I don't know why we expect teenagers to show up at school and go to school all day long even though they're not going to get credit.
I tried that role for my senior year at San Jose High Academy, and what happened, the counselor over there, he looked over my credits, and he told me because of my age at the time, I was 18, barely turned 19. At that time, I was only about 48 credits away from graduation. And what happened with that, he said, San Jose High doesn't accept no fifth-year seniors just because of my age.
We had kids that were just hanging around and weren't going to school. And while, the school said they had systems, one of the nice ways of dealing with homeless kids is to put them on independent study, which is often called home study, which is really a cute way when you're saying to a kid that doesn't have a home, oh, you can go home and do your school at home.
The McKinney-Vento Act was passed in 1987, and it was part of a very large federal law meant to deal with a lot of different areas of homelessness. And there was one small part of that law that was meant to deal with education. It's designed to give schools the flexibility to make sure that children and youth who are experiencing homelessness can enroll in school, that they can get there every day, and that they can have the support they need to succeed and to meet their goals.
Our fifth recommendation: fully implement the McKinney-Vento Act so homeless students get support to stay in school, such as credit transfer programs and resources such as lockers, showers, and transportation vouchers.
When we've gone to these schools to get access to them and have said, your school has 240 homeless youth and we'd like the lists, and we hear it's the reason why and this is the sort of thing, more often than not, the response we found was, really? We have 240 homeless youth in our school? Wow, I didn't know that.
I think a good point is homeless children don't want to be recognized. I know I didn't. I just kind of sat there in the background. Nobody really wants to go up to anybody and say, I'm homeless.
Sharday did not want to go to school, and one of the reasons she didn't want to go to school is because she wasn't able to take a shower in the morning. And it's kind of like one of those things where you go, duh. I mean, if I couldn't take a shower in the morning, I wouldn't want to go out of the house.
Our sixth recommendation: be aware of the stigma and barriers that discourage homeless youth from asking for help or attending school.
Very few of them said anything specific to school in answer to the question, what kind of support would you need to stay in school? What they needed to stay in school was what they needed, period. You can't solve the educational problems of homeless youth and still leave them on the street.
Fully implement the McKinney-Vento Act so homeless students get support to stay in school, such as credit transfer programs and resources such as lockers, showers, and transportation vouchers. Be aware of the stigma and barriers that discourage homeless youth from asking for help or attending school.